How to never get a negative review for your book. Alright, so let's start with the basics. Proofreading and editing. So many authors miss that, especially new authors. You must have your book edited and proofread, and there's a distinction there. Now, when it comes to editing, this is the structural part, right? The flow of a book, how sentences, how paragraphs are structured. Some people are very picky about that, and in general, it's a must after the book is finished. And when you finish writing, or your ghostwriter just finished writing, the book must flow well, and those sentences must be, at least most of them, must be structured correctly. Right, the flow must be there from sentence to sentence. Even if you work with a ghostwriter, usually ghostwriters do not focus on these things. They do not focus on editing. Right, there are professional editors out there, and I highly suggest you to find one, because if you don't have those particular skills, or if you don't know the person who have those skills and is willing to help you out on this, chances are, if your book gets more readers, some of them are gonna notice these errors. Now, on the flip side, grammar and spelling, this is a major part, right? Some people will not notice these things, right? Especially not those people who are not fluent in that particular language. But if it's too much, now 1-2 errors, people don't mind, right? 1-2 grammar mistakes, 1-2 spelling mistakes, they don't mind. But then there are more, let's say more than 10, more than 20, people start to notice that. People don't appreciate that. People treat that as unprofessional. And even if they like the book, let's say they love the content, they will give you free 2, even 1-star review, depending on the severity on those grammar and proofreading, grammar and spelling errors, right? So you must take care of that. There are some tools like Grammarly out there that you can use to edit and proofread your book by yourself, but I highly suggest to get a professional to do that. Even those tools are more advanced these days, they are still missing many parts, right? And keep in mind, not a software is going to be reading your book. A human is going to be reading your book, right? So that human proofreading and editing your book is usually the best choice. All right, now the next thing you must be aware of is book formatting. Now there are different formattings for different types of books. Different formatting for ebook, for paperback, for hardback version of your book, but at least get that book formatted professionally. You don't need fancy formatting. You don't need graphics, pictures included. Make it look professional. Make it easy to read. The goal of formatting is not to make it look fancy. The goal of book formatting is to make it look invisible, so a person can focus on reading the book, and that person does not notice what is happening, how the text is structured, at least for the most part. That's the goal of formatting. Now, you can do that yourself. It's not the most difficult thing to do. Again, for services like that, I highly suggest to find a professional, because you might be able to do it yourself, but you're gonna spend so much time learning that. It takes time to learn how to format, let's say, even free versions of your book, which is ebook, paperback, and hardback version of your book. So get a professional, get that done. Make sure it looks great. Make sure you check the preview version before you publish your book. Let's say that's on Amazon, right? So make sure you do that, and you're gonna be good to go. Now let's dive into something a little bit more serious. People love resources, and people hate when you make claims and you don't back them up. Now this is pretty serious, especially for those authors who are the first-time authors. People don't know about you. People don't know what you specialize in. People don't know about all of your credentials. Let's say even if they are in your bio, even if they are in the back of your book, people still are not familiar with you. So you must include detailed explanations and resources where you learn about this particular information, right? And it's as simple as talking about a specific story. Let's say that your patient or your client who suffered from this particular thing, and you mention that in detail. Now, if you're not referring to your personal experience or your client's experience or family experience, you might include the link or the URL address to that particular site where you learn about that, or not necessarily where you learn about that, but where it's proven studies about that. And then people will not have any problem with this particular claim, because they will know, okay, there's some facts behind that, there's like some proof and independent studies behind that, right? So make sure you do that, so people don't have a problem with that, people believe in you more, and they follow along with everything else you have to say. Number 4, and listen to me carefully here. The title of your book and what's inside the book must be extremely relevant. People hate when they buy into something, a specific things, or let's say a trifecta of different things, right, that you're mentioning in the subtitle or the title, and they don't find that in a book. Even worse than that, they find something completely different that seems like disappointing for them, right? Now, going a step further, let's see your book description. That matters a lot as well. You only should mention things in your book description. Any claims you're mentioning there in your book, you talk about them, you back them up as well, right? Extremely important, right? Now, when you're talking about, let's take a particular example. Let's say you are an expert in mental health, and your title has a word ADHD in it, right? Now, and in your book, you talk about anxiety, stress, but you don't talk about ADHD. Now, that's a big problem. Or you just talk about ADHD a little bit. And let's say ADHD is included in your main title, not the subtitle, not the long one, but the short main title. Then people expect you talking about ADHD the most, because that's why they bought the book in the first place. So now we have to understand these things, and if you do, you're gonna be just fine. All right, number 5, and we are getting close. I have one more thing to share with you. People hate when you repeat things to them, at least if you don't have a reason for that and you don't emphasize on that. For example, there are so many books who have the same stuff repeated over and over again in different chapters, just paraphrased differently. Now, take this into consideration. People are not fools, right? They recognize that consciously or subconsciously, right? There are so many authors as well who try to make their book longer just by repeating stuff. And they don't say why they're repeating the same thing again. Now, if you say, okay, listen to me again, read this paragraph again, I'm talking about this again from a different angle, because if you talk about that, if you explain to your reader why you're doing that, that's fine. But if you're repeating and regurgitating the same information again and again, people hate that. You're going to get negative comments. The people are not going to like your book. So you must avoid this one. All right, now the last one, the 6th one, and listen to this one carefully, because this one is more important than the other 5 combined. Focus on your reader, not on yourself. Do not talk about things that are not relevant to your reader, that are not relevant to your audience. There are so many authors out there who are talking about themselves, even if that particular story or those particular things are not even relevant to those readers, right? So do not mention things in your book unless your readers should care about that. Your readers get value from that. And if your entire book is focused on your reader, on your ideal reader, those people who you are targeting, those people you are talking to, the grammar errors, the editing, the formatting, those things are going to be less of a concern. Right? Of course, to a certain degree, if your book is riddled with grammar errors, people are not going to be able even to finish your valuable content, right? But for the most part, if you focus on your reader and if you give value, you give a lot of value, people will love that. People will leave amazing comments about your book, and you will get more and more referrals, and people will buy your book more again and again and again. All right, so here you have it. These are all the 6 things you must know and you must address in order to get mostly positive feedback and help other people to refer and people buy into your book even before we get a chance to read it. Now, keep in mind, you are still gonna get people who are going to leave those negative reviews. Number one, some people are just haters. They just hate things. They buy a lot of books. Some people, they just read a couple of pages. They don't like something. They leave a 1-star review. You will always get those kind of people, right? But for the most part, people are good. You're not gonna get too many of these. Now, for the other part, for example, there are things like packaging issues, right? Sometimes the delivery person or Amazon delivers that book and that package is damaged and the person leaves a bad review. Now, there's nothing you can do about that, right? So you shouldn't worry about these things that you cannot control. And if you take care of all these 6 elements, chances are you're gonna have higher than a 4.5, 4.6 star review, which is amazing. You're gonna be in the top tier of all the authors, especially the new authors. You're gonna be so far ahead for compared to the other ones. So just focus on these 6 elements. Don't worry about the haters. Don't worry about things that you cannot control. Just focus on things that you can control. Alright, so here you have it. Now, if you want to learn more about how to become a best-selling author, you can book a consultation down below. Me and my team are more than willing to help you out. It's gonna be 100% free. It's gonna be a 45 minutes of value to you, and you're gonna learn a few specific strategies that helped many in this particular point in time, hundreds of authors already to become best-selling authors, how to build authority, credibility in their particular field by becoming a best-selling author. So if you want to learn more about that, click the link below. It's going to be the first link below. Schedule your bestseller training session, and in any case, see you in the next video.